Hey everyone, I'm Erin and welcome to the Cardboard Republic. We are coming to you with our haul video for July. So this is a selection of the games that we got in over the course of July. Let's get started. Let's start out with literally the heaviest in every possible way game that we played and got in and everything during July. Scythe. Okay, so Scythe is set in an alternate 1920s, just after World War I. There's this big conglomerate nation-state thing called the Factory, and all of the players are vying for power on the outskirts of the Factory. What's really cool about this game is the artwork, and that's kind of where the game took shape. The artwork is very interesting in that you have a mix of historic looking figures with these sci-fi elements. So you have people, but they're riding war bears, that kind of thing. It's really neat. It's really worth checking out for that alone. I think a few people have already played this one. I personally haven't, but I know Ryan has. And it got a lot of attention because it's the latest game from Stonemaier, and they tend to put out things like Viticulture and Between Two Cities that have a wide appeal. I think this game, Scythe, is not quite as wide appeal-ish as previous titles, but it's still pretty interesting if you like 4X games that don't actually have a lot of extermination. So that we're going to be playing it a few more times before we can put out any kind of review on it, but you'll probably be seeing something from us soon. Then we have Via Nebula. This is a game that is literally bursting at the seams, so I'm excited to try it. Also, it's super cute. I wrote an article not too long ago about representation on board game covers, and this is something that came up a lot in response to that because it's a woman. She's not your standard, like, woman either, and that adorable little pig, come on. Anyway, Via Nebula, if you actually want to play it instead of just staring at it, is a game that is a little bit cooperative for a while, but it's mostly a pick up and deliver game. You're all craftspeople in this valley that is surrounded by mist. A big part of the game is exploring that mist and revealing more things for you to do. After that, it's about building and trade routes and that sort of thing. Obviously, we haven't played it yet because it's in our haul video, but I'm so excited to try this one, guys. That pig! Look at that little pig! Oh! Okay, I'm gonna put it down now. Mad Science Foundation is next. It's another game with a really diverse cast on the cover. I'm always excited to see that. I think it means a lot to me personally to see games where people like me are actually on the cover, because that means that the designers and the publishers recognize me as part of their audience that they're trying to sell things to. But anyway, Mad Science Foundation is a game about getting support for your mad scientist work. There's been a foundation that's been set up to help you get all the stuff you need, like lasers and sharks. And they are going to support different scientists with different levels of funding. Obviously, your goal is to get the most funding, but you also want your opponents to get less funding. It's very backstabby and cutthroat, probably a little too much for me to really get into personally, but it does seem like a lot of fun, and it's a light card game, so it's not like a super huge investment of your time. Burano is up next, and this is a game all about fishing and lace. And I really like lace, and I like fish, so that's something. I can't completely describe how this one works yet, because it uses this mechanic that's a little unique. It uses a cube pyramid as part of its action selection phase, and since I haven't played it, haul video, I'm having trouble wrapping my brain around how that's going to work. I'm definitely gonna have to report back on this. I will say though that it's really interesting to see a otherwise typical Euro game try something new and different with its little wooden cubes. Next up, we have Joraku. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. This is a trick-taking and area control game. So it has aspects of both mechanics in it. That means I'm probably going to be even worse at it than I am at your average trick-taking and or area control game. I'll give it a try though. So in this game is set during the Edo period of Japan, and you are using a trick-taking card type mechanic to control different areas of the board. I think that's really interesting. I love it when two very familiar mechanics are combined to create something a little different. So like I said, I'm gonna give it a try, but I'm definitely gonna be awful at it. And then we have Fields of Arle. This was one of our nominees for the 2015 Architect Laurel. And we've been dying to get our hands on our own copy because it is totally my kind of game. It is another farming game set in the same sort of region of the world. It's a Euro game. What is interesting about this, though, is that it is designed specifically to accommodate 1 or 2 players. You can't play it with more than 2 people. And your experience playing it with 1 person is going to be different from 2 people. So I think that's really fascinating. I don't tend to play a lot of solo games, but it's always something I've kind of wanted to try. So maybe this will be the way for me to do that. Either that or Ryan and I will just play it a lot. Probably that one. Next up, on the opposite side of the box size spectrum, we have the Manhattan Project Chain Reaction. This is a game that is a standalone expansion or sequel sort of thing to the Manhattan Project. And in the game, you are all working as small nations who have stolen the secrets of nuclear power, and you are going to try to develop your own devices for mass destruction, basically. Honestly, the themes of these games make me a little uncomfortable in our current climate where bombs are sort of a thing that a lot of people deal with a lot. So I'm not saying it has to feel that way for you guys, but for me, I'm not sure how I'm gonna feel actually putting this one down on the table. We'll see if that's a thing that I want to do or if I outsource this one. In that same vein, at least thematically, is The Grizzled at Your Orders. In this little expansion to The Grizzled, I always feel silly when I have to say that, you are now able to play with 1 or 2 players, which is pretty cool if that's something you're into. It also gives you some new cards to make the base game vary in difficulty. So if you find that you're having a really, really easy time with the base game, which is honestly not something I've ever heard from anyone, but if you are one of the 3 people that is a problem for, then this should definitely help you out. Whereas I had a problem with the war theme of the Manhattan Project Chain Reaction, I feel like The Grizzled discusses war and presents it very differently, and so I don't have the same sort of qualms about this, but I have yet to play The Grizzled, confession time. So we shall see. It has been played extensively by Ryan and our group, just like never when I'm there for some reason. I don't know, it's a conspiracy. Now, this is an interesting transition. So last year at Gen Con, the last game that we looked at was Mare Nostrum. And here it is, in the flesh, in the cardboard, whatever. In this game, players are working around the Mediterranean. You have to master seafaring and trading and warfare in order to ensure your own supremacy. It seems like something that I will really like. It is a civ building game and I'm super into those. What really makes or breaks the experience for me personally is whether I can still be competitive in the game without having to really focus on the warfare route. So many civ building games are really just war games with like a stilted little economic side to it or science side to it. So we'll see what happens with this one. I'm always willing to try these out because you never know, I could find the next perfect game. That's probably what it'll be for me. Not necessarily this one, but my next perfect game will probably be a civ building game. That's really irrelevant to this, I'm sorry. And now, to come pretty much full circle, we have Captain Sonar. This is a game that's actually debuting at this year's Gen Con, aka like 2 days from now. Captain Sonar is a game about a nuclear submarine. You and your opponent are both on teams. Every team consists of a captain, a first mate, an engineer, and a radio ops. Of all of those, I think the radio operator is actually the most interesting because it is their job to eavesdrop on the other team, which is not a style of gameplay you honestly see encouraged too often in games like this. I think this will be a super interesting game for a convention like Gen Con, where you have enough people to really play a 4-on-4 game, which is what it's designed to be. And the situation, I mean, it's not going to be that easy to overhear everything that your opponent's doing, so it'll add a level of skill and complexity to the game. Okay, those were the games we got in during July. So a pretty mixed bag in terms of games that I think I'm going to love and games that are probably not for me. But we will give them a shot, and we will always report back once we've had a chance to play something. We'll either do that here or on our website, www.cardboardrepublic.com, or on our podcast, Vox Republica. So you can find all of those at cardboardrepublic.com. You can also find a link to our Patreon there. We would love any support you can throw at us because doing this costs a lot of money and time, and we appreciate having you guys here to watch and listen whenever you can. Again, like and subscribe down below as usual, and leave us a comment with any games that you got in over the course of July. We love to see what you guys are up to. We will see you soon. Bye! Mad Science. The Mad Science Foundation. Literally the last game that we looked at on the expo floor was Mare Nostrum. And here it is! In the cardboard, I guess. In the flesh? Cardboard. Let's go in the cardboard. It's weird if you say in the flesh about a game. I swear to God, I'm gonna throw this at you. My hand really hurts. I need to put this down.